Following the premiere of Alan Jones Live tonight on 10, travel north with Jim and experience the delights of Darwin and learn how to make your own sweet-smelling soap on Healthy, Wealthy and Wise. And at 8:30, Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Running Man.
Leadership is not at issue.
On this day, Monday, January 31, how much longer can she say she's not interested in the leadership? Bronwyn Bishop has soared 21 points ahead of opposition leader John Hewson as the public's choice to lead the Liberals. Only 2 days ago, a national correspondent compared her vote-pulling capacity with the likes of Indira Gandhi, Benazir Bhutto, Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. And just over an hour ago, Carmen Lawrence announced her move into federal politics. Is the former West Australian Premier Labor's answer to the Bishop phenomenon? Tonight, you and I talk with Bronwyn Bishop and Carmen Lawrence. I'm Alan Jones. Hello and welcome to the show. On tonight's program we're speaking to...
Alan Jones.
Seriously, you are talking nonsense. Now either revise what you have to say or give someone else an opportunity. Mary from Ipswich is on the line. Mary, good evening. Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining me for the first time on Alan Jones Live. Some of you may know who I am, some of you may have read about me, many of you won't know me from a bar of soap. But I can tell you what we're about, basically allowing Australians everywhere to have their say. For the first time on Australian television, you will have the chance to let the decision makers know how you feel. You and I will talk with people to whom you might otherwise have never had the opportunity of expressing an opinion. And we'll do other things, of course. I hope you enjoy the program as much as we'll enjoy bringing it to you. Tonight, you and I talk with Bronwyn Bishop. The open line number across Australia is 1-800 64 1064. Well, the lady in question has flown from Canberra to be with me live in the studio. Bronwyn, thank you for your time. Welcome to the first program.
Well, thank you, Alan.
The figures are terrific today, aren't they, at the polls? What is the fascination with Bronwyn Bishop?
Well, I can't answer that question, but I can say this. Whatever the support that I am able to attract, I want for my party. And I want it to be the beneficiary to be the team as a whole, and I want to win that next election.
Well, you've just been to the party, you've had a shadow cabinet meeting. You walk in there and they've read all this publicity about Bronwyn with 34% or something and double everybody else. Did they say, well done, Bronwyn, it's terrific, you're gathering votes for the party, slap you on the back, congratulate you, they're excited for you?
I've got to say there was a lot of warmth, yes. And welcome to the team. This was my first shadow cabinet meeting. It was an exciting meeting, I enjoyed it, and yes, it's to that team I want to bring that support.
Well, now what about the leadership? Do you want to be Prime Minister?
Well, as I've said, my concern is that Australia gets good government, that we get rid of this Keating government and that my team wins.
You're not answering my question. Do you want to be... I mean, every person who says way back, I want to go into Parliament, must in fact hope that the dice will roll in such a way that he or she will be Prime Minister. Do you want to be Prime Minister, or are all these polls a waste of time?
Well, Alan, I want to be part of a winning team. Now, you're interested in football, I'm interested in football. Do you ask the members of your favourite football team every day if they want to be captain?
No, I don't, but my football team are happy with the captain they've got. There is a suggestion that some people in your team mightn't be happy with the captain. If they asked you to be captain, would you be captain?
Well, much more importantly, Alan, I want to be a minister in government. Being something in opposition isn't very rewarding because you can't do anything. So my concern, as I say again and again, and my gosh, I do get tired of saying it.
Well, I won't ask you 35 times, but look, if you were Prime Minister, or if you were a Cabinet Minister, what could you do for the people who are listening to you now? For the people out there in Struggle Street, what could you do for them?
Well,
in urban and regional development. That portfolio covers everything in their lives. What's the most important thing, if you could do something tonight?
There are some things that are vital to everyone. One of the questions that comes up again and again is the question of personal safety, of violence, of crime. Those things can have regional and urban characteristics that have to be identified and dealt with. There's a whole range of things that I'm in the process of looking at. I've had the job, I think, a week.
Yeah. Wilson Tuckey said today, we pick the leader, not the public. Is that the way the Liberal Party should go about winning votes, telling the public that they don't count? Do the public count?
Well, I don't think Wilson was meaning to say that.
Well, do the public count? 39% said they want Bronwyn Bishop. Do they count? How much do they count?
The public count enormously, and it's our task to listen to what they have to say. And I think one of the things that we lost sight of along the way for a little while we've been in opposition, is not paying enough attention to what the people say.
What about
and that's important. And that's been part of the reason why I visited so many regions around Australia, and that's given me a good background for this new job that I've got.
Suddenly, Labor have said, we have to get a woman of the Bishop profile. They've chosen Carmen Lawrence. Will you welcome her to Canberra? We need more women in politics?
Well, I think Carmen was already in politics, and I think Richard Court's made life pretty hot for Carmen Lawrence. I think this is a welcome exit for her.
An exit for Carmen Lawrence? She's got nothing to offer?
Well, she's not Leader of the Opposition in Western Australia. Quite clearly, she's made a decision she's got no future there, so she's coming into federal politics.
Well, on the line from Canberra is a man who knows the Canberra scene backwards, a senior Hawke staff member for 5 years, a Washington correspondent for 3 years, and now our political editor in Canberra, Barry Cassidy. Barry, thanks for joining us. What are they saying in the corridors about these latest polls on Bronwyn Bishop?
Well, Alan, I think Bronwyn Bishop went away at Christmas with just a handful of votes. Then the parliamentary members went out into their electorates, and to the astonishment of some, they discovered that the support for her is both real and solid. And so some of them have come back and they've had a change of heart, and I think she now has a solid support base. Perhaps not enough to even mount a respectable challenge at this stage, but clearly the momentum is with Bronwyn Bishop. If she performs well in the House of Representatives, then I think she'll start raking those votes in very rapidly.
Are there other challenges if there were to be a leadership question? Are there other legitimate challenges, or is it a question of Hewson and Bishop?
Undoubtedly there are other legitimate challenges, but I really think that the situation is starting to emerge, and the MPs are starting to realise that Bronwyn Bishop is the real alternative, simply because the momentum is with her and the media is with her.
And to what extent does the parliamentary membership believe that they better start listening to the public?
Well, those figures today were just astounding. That last September, Bronwyn Bishop's lead over John Hewson was 3 points. It's now 21 points. That's a remarkable turn up in just 3 months. So clearly that sort of polling can't be ignored for too long. I think it's inevitable that eventually they'll see the value of that, and they'll see the value of the fact that she can attract publicity. So many members seem to take issue with this, but what they must realise is if you can pull a crowd and you can get good publicity, she'll see that through, not only through the challenge, but I think she'll see it all the way through to the next election.
Well, Bronwyn, we'll take some of those points, I'm sure, when we talk to our callers, because why not take your chance for the first time on Australian television to talk to Bronwyn Bishop? Has she got what it takes to be Prime Minister? Would you vote for her? Or why wouldn't you vote for her? Make your opinion count. Phone 1800 64 1064 and we'll take the calls after the break.
7:30 Wednesday on Missing Persons.
Do you know what your name is, little guy?
It's their job to find missing people
I can't believe nobody's called to find that kid.
and reunite families
Nobody takes this good care of the kid and then just leaves him in the woods.
against impossible odds.
Nobody's ever seen this kid. It's like he fell out of the sky.
It's the year's most compelling new series.
I can't think of anything short of being dead that would keep me from reporting this kid missing if he was mine.
Daniel J. Travanti stars in Missing Persons, 7:30 Wednesday on 10.
Hey, Mum, next time you make Tip Top Sunblest sandwiches for the kids, you could find $20,000 cash. Because in Tip Top Basketball Bingo, there are thousands of packs containing slam dunk instant cash prizes, plus official NBL collector cards.
That's my boy.
And if you match a whole team in the Basketball Bingo game,
Bingo!
you'll win another $1,000. So play Basketball Bingo with Tip Top Sunblest.
Good on your mum. Tip Top's the one. Good on your mum.
How much more? Liz Hayes says no more sacrifices for men. Fergie's sister weds, we were there. Jackie's years of turmoil with Derek. Menopause, famous women tell. It was frank, revealing and funny. Prince Edward's girlfriend in Australia. We salute the bushfire heroes. Gorgeous gifts to make for tiny tots. Shop smart and get slim. And cook our simple, healthy meals. It's the best and brightest women's weekly ever.
You want to go overseas? Of course you do. And now you can, for as little as 88 cents. Ireland, the UK, 88 cents. Canada and the US, 88 cents. Till February 8, you can call all these countries on Telecom 0011 International, 8 p.m. till 8 a.m. for only 88 cents a minute. All right, you twisted my arm. For the same price, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m, I'll chuck in a stop over in Hong Kong. See if I don't. Your phone bill will think it's gone OS, eh? Ring this number. Find out if a Telecom Flexi plan could save you even more.
We're talking with Bronwyn Bishop, and I have to tell you the talkback board is on fire, so let's get into it. Sonia from Perth in Western Australia. Sonia, good evening.
Good evening.
Away you go.
I'd just like to wish Senator Bishop all the best. She will be the next Prime Minister, and Dr. John would make a nice deputy leader.
Do you have a question though to Bronwyn?
Just that I think she's wonderful and to stick with it.
Stick with it. Bronwyn, talking about sticking with it, I mean...
Sonia, thank you for your remarks. I'm going to be part of that team and win that seat of Mackellar. That's what I'm working for. So thank you for your kind wishes.
There's been a lot of publicity. I mean, does that put pressure on you? You've been everywhere all the time. Is that tough to cope with?
It's part of the business, Alan. I mean, there is a symbiotic relationship, if you like, between the media and members of Parliament, because you and others are part of the way of getting our message out. And so there needs to be a working relationship, if you like. Now, we're not always happy with each other, let me tell you.
The diet of red wine and chocolates and coffee must work, does it? June is on the line from Moore Park in New South Wales. June, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Very well.
That's good. Well, I'm here to tell you that lady sitting across from you is a very soft lady, although a lot of people say that she comes across very hard because she stands up for her rights and for the rights of all Australians.
So what's your question to her, June?
Well, I want to know how she feels about having to always have to prove herself all the time. If she was a man in the political arena, she would not have to all the time have to stand up for the issues that she does.
There you are.
I think the important thing is that in this country, which is the best country in the world, you can do anything you put your mind to. And my mind is to see my party in government and me a cabinet minister.
Well, there we are. Bronwyn, she's nothing if she's not confident about it. Barry from Preston in Victoria. Barry, good evening.
Oh, good day, Alan. How are you today?
Well, thanks.
Hello, Bronwyn.
Hi.
I'd like to know if you ever become Prime Minister, would you ever think about supplying the Navy with an aircraft carrier and also the Army with Apache helicopters to meet any future threat?
Well, of course, the old aircraft carrier debate has been on for a long time. I think there are some very positive arguments for having an aircraft carrier, which have got to do with a lot with our presence in our own region. But those are things that we're going to be discussing in our party room, around the table in shadow ministry. I have, as I've often said, ideas. I don't make policy, the party does. But certainly some of the ideas that I have are very sympathetic to some of the needs in the Defence Forces that I think haven't yet been met.
All right, Bronwyn, thank you for that. Paul's on the line from Melbourne in Victoria. Paul?
Yes, good evening, Alan. Good evening, Bronwyn. I'd just like to say it's obvious that from the polls that the preferred Prime Minister at this time is Paul Keating and that John Hewson is way behind, but the preferred party is the Liberal Party. Surely that if the people of Australia wanted you to lead the Liberal Party and in fact win the next election by you being their leader, you'd seriously consider it.
Well, I don't play hypotheticals. I don't think that's a useful thing to do. But I do say that whatever support I am able to bring to my party, I want the whole team to be the beneficiary.
But supposing the leadership fell vacant tomorrow, would you put your hand up?
Well, you're playing hypotheticals again. It's not going to fall vacant tomorrow, so we get on with the team.
But perhaps some of the people listening to you might be thinking, well, why does Bronwyn avoid this question? Why doesn't she simply say, look, I'd be happy to be leader?
I'm telling you now, we've got a team, we've got a leader. I've been made part of that team. I've got a job to do and I want to get on with it.
OK, William from Dandenong. William, good evening. Thank you for joining the show.
Yeah.
Away you go.
Oh, right. I want to ask Ms Bishop one thing. If the Liberal Party decided to have an internal vote to see who would lead their party into the next election, and they voted you, obviously, of what they've done now, through the public, would you take the seat? Would you go up and say, yeah, well, OK, I'll take the lead?
See, they keep asking the hypotheticals, Bronwyn. They want to know. Are you a starter? A good question, William. Thank you.
You see, Alan, you...
You're not going to put him off too, are you?
Well, I'm going to say what I say consistently.
Go on.
I'm running for the seat of Mackellar, and thank goodness today the Speaker of the House indicated that he's going to issue some writs and we're going to have an election on the 26th of March.
Do you think it's a bit presumptuous to be handling shadow cabinet portfolios when in fact you're not even in the House of Representatives?
Well, of course, shadow portfolios are in the Senate and that's where I am at the moment, and I don't resign until after the writs are issued.
All right, Bronwyn. Stephen's on the line from Queensland. Stephen, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi, how are you?
Yes, away you go. Ask Bronwyn the question.
Yes, I'm just wondering, like, if there was a leadership dispute, would you take precedence and try and run for leadership?
Well, as I say, hypotheticals aren't a sensible thing to play. We've got a leader, we've got a good team, and contrary to some of the speculation I see around telling me how good the Labor Party team is, I think it's quite interesting that we've seen Mr Griffiths forced to resign through basically lack of competence and able to handle his own affairs. And we're seeing desperate straits trying to bring in people from Carmen Lawrence coming in, offering a spot, trying to resuscitate some image of the Labor Party. So we've got a good team and I'm part of it.
All right, Bronwyn, it's good to talk to you. Thank you to all the callers, and we'll talk again, I'm sure, from time to time. As I mentioned, former West Australian Premier Dr Carmen Lawrence, whom we just talked about, late this afternoon announced she too is Canberra bound. Is she Labor's answer to the Bronwyn Bishop phenomenon? Dr Carmen Lawrence is with me live from Perth after the break.
In America, more people turned it on
Come on, baby.
than any other new drama series.
You sure we're doing the right thing?
At the Golden Globes, it won Best Drama and Best Actor.
I was married 6 years. I never fooled around.
8:30 Thursday, the 2-hour premiere of NYPD Blue.
We got the best chook going.
At Red Rooster, we barbecue all our chooks, so they're always golden on the outside, tender and tasty inside. And right now, you can get a whole Red Rooster chook for just $5.95. That's right, just $5.95. So when you're ready for Australia's best, our delicious barbecued chooks are ready for just $5.95.
Ready, red, round, around, around, the ready, red rooster.
It's the tastiest deal going round.
One spritz lemon, one mixed berry. A peach and a spritz orange. Okay?
Excuse me? Which one's which?
That's spritz lemon. Orange. Peach. Spritz mixed berry. Enjoy.
New Spritz. Pure, sparkling water with fruit you can't see.
At my bank, Advance Bank, this is what we've done to our home loan rate. We've sliced it until it's down to 6.9% per annum. Then we've capped it, so it's guaranteed not to rise before February 1, 1995. To find out more about a home loan rate that's been sliced, come in and see me at Advance Bank.
Hearing things that I wanna hear, voices that I know, and these voices have the strength to activate the power coming out of my radio. Radioactive, the source of the power is radioactive. Q-U-E.
Welcome back. We had intended to bring you a story tonight about the violence ruining one of Australia's top tourist spots, but developments in Western Australia today have made us hold that story over. The former West Australian Premier, Dr Carmen Lawrence, has now made an enormous career move. Could her entry into federal politics upstage the Bronwyn Bishop bandwagon? Dr Carmen Lawrence joins us from Perth. Dr Lawrence, good evening and thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time, especially on your first program.
Indeed. It's a pleasure to have you. Why on earth would you embark upon something that John Dawkins found too difficult, namely that trek across Australia to Parliament in Canberra?
Well, it was a proposition that was put to me some time ago, but became quite specific when John Dawkins unexpectedly resigned. As you'd appreciate with your knowledge of Australian history, it's a great honour to be asked to stand for a seat like Fremantle. And so I sat down very carefully during my leave and decided that I could serve West Australian interests very well as a member of federal parliament, and it represents clearly a change in direction for me, but with the same goal, and that is to make sure that we do the best we can for Western Australia.
Does it worry you that you'd given so many commitments before that you'd stay on as the opposition leader, and now you've had to go back on your word?
It is always a worry when that happens, but I've thought about it very carefully. I've talked to a lot of colleagues, to members of the business community, to friends, to family, and a lot of people have come up to me in the street and said, look, I think it would be terrific if you represented West Australia in federal politics. I'll still be first and foremost a West Australian member. I'll still be trying to make sure that the needs and aspirations of West Australians are reflected in the federal political agenda. As you know, it's easy for people on the eastern seaboard to forget about Western Australia, and that includes the federal government from time to time. And my job will be to make sure that they never forget what we need and that they pick up the good ideas that we have here and that they form part of the national debate.
You're quoted as saying today, I'm a committed West Australian representing Western Australian interests. There is talk in Perth tonight that Fremantle could become a Mabo referendum, that there is concern that Mr Keating's attitude towards land title is separate from what West Australians want. How do you react to that, and would it worry you if it became a Mabo referendum?
Well, the seat is clearly going to be one that will have to be hard fought. I don't take for granted for 1 second the wishes of the voters of Fremantle, but it's a seat that includes, in a sense, the cross-spectrum of West Australian political life and community life. It's got young families who've got problems with mortgages, unemployed people, it's got older established areas with problems of traffic management and heritage values. All of those things are the issues that I'll be addressing. I'm sure Mabo will be raised as an issue.
Could I just
but
take
as
that?
I've said, yes.
Sorry. Could I just take that Mabo specifically, though? It seems that Richard Court and some West Australians are saying that we should decide land title. That's a state right. And Mr Keating says a federal government-appointed tribunal should. Now, if you've alienated West Australians with your support for the Keating position, might that affect your vote with a 7.8% swing needed? Might that affect your vote in Fremantle?
I don't believe so, because I think West Australians understand the need on a matter as important as this for a national solution. And the criticism that I've made of Mr Court is that he refused to cooperate. It was a matter that should have resulted in a joint position between state and federal arenas, and it hasn't. And I think all is not lost in that respect, incidentally, and part of what I'll be arguing is that the West Australian government should reconsider its legislation, which will be thrown out in a High Court, so we can get a genuinely national perspective on this question. Because by referendum, which was agreed to by all of the states and a majority of people in every state, the federal government was given responsibility for Aboriginal affairs, and it wasn't beyond wit or imagination for the state government to come up with a land management system consistent with that. But Mr Court refused to do that.
You campaigned as Premier to raise the standard of debate in Parliament. Might you be whispering in Paul Keating's ear a little about language and performance?
I think it's true that the Australian public is pretty sick of what they see as a poor standard of behaviour by members of Parliament of all political persuasions and of all levels of experience. And I think if as a group of people we can improve the quality of parliamentary debate so that we discuss issues rather than personalities. So we're never going to remove that. I'm not unrealistic. But I think if we can be seen to be addressing people's real needs rather than the sort of day-to-day, if you like, drama of politics occupying people's attention, then they'll probably cop a bit of the theatre as long as they see their needs being addressed.
So your academic credentials with honours in psychology and behavioural science might be very much needed in Canberra.
Well, perhaps some people tend to put their hand over their foreheads and worry about my insight into their behaviour. I can assure them it's no greater than anyone else's.
It's nice to talk to you. Thank you for your time on our first program.
My pleasure, Alan.
All the best.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Carmen Lawrence. Stay with us. After the break, is 95 too old to drive? One veteran of the roads with an unblemished record has found himself banished to the back seat.
Fire as you've never seen it before.
Let's hit this beast head on!
And the men who fight it.
You were really a hero today.
William Baldwin.
I'm not gonna quit!
Kurt Russell.
That's my brother.
Robert De Niro. Backdraft. Premiere Sunday.
What do I want from a bank?
Our house is a very, 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 very fine house with 2 cats in the yard.
Well, I want the longest fixed home loan rate I can get. So my repayments won't change for years and years.
For a 10-year fixed home loan rate that offers certainty without locking you in. State what you want from a home loan.
Buy a roll of Fuji film, a Fuji Quick Snap or Fuji videotape, and you'll receive one of these great gifts free. Put some colour in your summer with the Fuji Summer Colours promotion and snap up your free gift now.
Can't afford a new TV? You should be renting. But no one wants to rent my old TVs anymore, because Cumberland, the Aussie company, are renting brand new large sets for just $30 a month. That's peanuts, and you never pay for service or repairs no matter what goes wrong. Then after 24 months, you can buy it for only $50, or get a brand new set at the same rental price. That's unbeatable.
Don't go 8-bit rental rates. Call Cumberland TV and Video.
Feeling the heat? Blinded by the light? Then cash in on the Apollo Blinds 3 for the price of 1 sale. That's right, cover 3 different windows in your home for the price of 1. Call 7463 555 for a free measure and quote.
Welcome back. What are elderly people meant to be feeling tonight? There's a report today to government which basically says if you're getting old, there are too many of you and you cost too much. Funny, isn't it? That's what we say about public servants. West Australian Premier Richard Court now tells us that the average salary in Canberra over the last 3 years, during the recession, when most Australians were battling, was $40,000 per annum, average. And it increased over that time by 24.2%. So you see, there is money. It's just that if you're a public servant, you can get it. And if you're old, you might not. For most of us, driving is a way to get from A to B, but for 95-year-old Sid Newman, it's always been more than that. But now, despite an 8-decade driving record, which just may be the cleanest in the country, Sid's been robbed of his greatest pleasure. As Lincoln House reports, not only has Sid's licence been revoked, he's been refused the chance to try again.
I'm very, very particular about red lights and stop lights and the traffic signals, the you know, what do you call these indicators?
In 76 years of driving, Sid Newman has clocked up an incredible 1 million kilometres behind the wheel.
Well, I started off racing motorbikes just after the First World War, and then I got onto cars later, sports cars.
Even when he reached the grand old age of 95, Sid liked nothing better than hitting the highway in his brand new fuel-injected Corolla Seeker.
Have you ever had an accident?
Not due to myself. The only accidents I had have been due to other people in the 1920s.
Neither has Sid ever received a speeding ticket, an enviable driving record, but one which wasn't taken into account last November when he failed his annual driving test.
Why did they fail you in your test?
I must say I do drive fairly fast always, but I'm afraid that during my test I was driving over 60 and I lost points for that naturally.
You're not a bit of a speed demon, are you?
Well, I suppose it could be that.
As a lawn bowler, Sid knows all about bias. Feeling he'd been unfairly treated because of his age, he took his case to court, but his impassioned appeal for another chance fell on deaf ears.
I was staggered because the 10 previous tests I was mostly congratulated on my driving ability. In fact, on my 10th test, the examiner said, if I ever reached your age, I hope I can drive as well as you do.
Under New South Wales law, anyone over the age of 85 must submit to a full driving test every year. But according to the Roads and Traffic Authority, the decision to cancel a licence isn't taken lightly. And it's not based in any way on age. You can be 100 and still be driving around so long as you're safe. The system said Sid simply wasn't safe anymore.
In the Academy Award-winning Driving Miss Daisy, it took an accident to convince Jessica Tandy's character her days behind the wheel were over.
You're a terrible risk. Nobody's going to want to issue a policy after this.
You're just saying that to be hateful.
But even now he's confined to crawling his Corolla around a private car park, Sid's enthusiasm hasn't waned.
So, Sid, is it good to be behind the wheel again?
Yes, it is.
I suppose you miss it a bit.
Oh, terrible.
Sid has resigned himself to selling his new car, but says he didn't need the RTA to tell him when his driving days were over.
How would you judge that?
Mainly by the white lines on the Pacific Highway. When you reach a stage when you can't see them properly, particularly in rain, well then it's time to give up.
Well, while Sid's being run off the road in America, they're taking a different tack on road safety. According to the Melbourne Age, they have set aside nearly $1 million to study why drunk pedestrians can get hit by cars. We could have told them for nothing. See you tomorrow night.
Good evening. In the news tonight, Paul Keating's newest recruit coming straight into the front line. Former WA Premier Carmen Lawrence finally agrees to make the move to Canberra to fill the seat left vacant by John Dawkins. Also tonight, John Hewson's newest recruit, but his biggest problem, Bronwyn Bishop, 3 times more popular than her leader in the polls, and he threatens the sack for disloyalty. And the longer he stays, the more popular he becomes. Prince Charles continues to win friends and influence people in Perth. I'll have those stories tonight, 10:35.
And coming up in sports tonight, right after this.
His words that this recovery will